There was a sort of administrative serenity to the Palais de Justice in Paris this morning. Orderly queues, but of people whose lives had been turned upside down. In the queue, Patrick Denouy. His son Alban was killed at the Bataclan concert hall.
Mais mon état d'esprit est tout à fait serein. Il a été plus difficile au départ. C'est-à-dire 5 ans sont passés. Et mon état d'esprit, c'est que dans le fond, toute la vérité soit dite et soit faite. C'est ça mon état d'esprit.
Inside a specially built complex, designed for 130 lawyers, for 140 days of hearings, for 1,800 survivors and relatives. The logistics of slow-moving justice, a foil to the fast-paced carnage of the night itself. At the time, President François Hollande described it as an act of war. He was at the Stade de France when it started. At 9:15 on the 13th of November, 6 years ago. 2 suicide bombers blew themselves up outside the stadium and killed a passerby. It was the beginning of a series of coordinated attacks across Paris that night. 3 groups of attackers from France and Belgium, with 3 men in each group. So-called Islamic State claimed responsibility. They targeted restaurants and cafes around the city and a concert hall, the Bataclan.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
130 innocent people died. 490 were injured. Just after 11 this morning, the only surviving attacker, Salah Abdeslam, left the Fleury-Mérogis prison south of Paris on his way to court. He'll appear alongside 13 other men charged with providing support and helping plan the attack. 6 others are on trial but won't appear, presumed dead in Syria and Iraq. Today in court, the judge asked him to give his profession. He answered, a soldier of Islamic State. And later proceedings were interrupted by him shouting at the judge that he was, quote, being treated like a dog.
This is the final chapter, or I hope so.
Olivier Laplaude was in the Bataclan that night with his wife. Told us today that while the trial's a big moment for France, survivors don't want to see it hijacked by politicians, journalists, or the defendants.
We want to avoid that circuit, that mediatic circuit, that political circus, and provocations from the defensees also.
Sisters Anna and Marianne Petard were together at the Carrion Bar when they were shot and killed. Their parents told us today that they've decided not to attend the trial.
Le procès ne nous apportera rien, ne nous apportera pas de réponse ni d'explication. Et nous, les filles, sont parties et pour nous, c'est la plus grande tristesse de notre vie. Donc, on ne veut pas participer au procès pour ne pas retourner en arrière 6 ans avant et recommencer notre douleur.
For others, the hope is that the trial will bring a degree of closure. Different families with different ways of trying to find some solace. And a whole country, perhaps, trying to do the same.
Well, earlier I spoke to Claude Emmanuel Triomphe, who survived the terror attacks with serious injuries to his chest and leg. I began by asking him for his memories of that night.
I had a walk after a long working day, and I met an American guy, and we started to have a chat, and then I suggested to have a drink together in a quiet place, in a quiet cafe called La Bonne Bière, was used to go. And so we arrived there, and the waiter asked me if we wanted to be seated outside or inside. And first I answered outside. And suddenly I don't know why exactly, but I don't know, rather inside, and it probably saved our lives. And then we came inside, and we didn't have any time to order because the shooting started almost immediately.
I mean, you were very injured that night in what was the third attack in Paris. 5 people were killed in La Bombière, where you were having your drink. Had you feared that you would die yourself?
Not in the very beginning. You know, when you got a bullet, the first impact is not really painful. But we'll say step by step, I discovered losing my blood and losing my forces. And then I realized that I could really die very soon. And I was quite upset. And I thought it's unfair, not now. And yeah, that's it.
And your road to recovery has been a long one, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been a quite long road with, you know, 3 different hospitals, plus 2 weeks at a friend's home, and then I went out at the end of March 2016, and then 6 months more for, you know, a full, well, let's say full recovery.
The trial begins today. It has been long awaited. I just wonder how you feel now.
No, it's quite a mixed feelings. Because of course, all these events are now coming back, and with a touch of humor, I will say, thanks to the media pressure, but also thanks to the friends who are all sending messages of support. But you know, it's quite complicated. And then I discovered that I thought these things are, you know, quite away from me, and they are not. They are not at all.
Are you hoping and hopeful of justice?
Yes and no. I do not expect much from the trial. Maybe a miracle.
Claude Emmanuel Triomphe, thank you so much for talking to us today. Thank you.